Hey everybody, this is the Esoteric Cross. I make videos about how to gain your personal power while learning ancient secrets, and if that sounds like something that you're into, please hit the like button and subscribe and gain insight from this perspective in the cosmos. I wanted to make this video to address some of the common comments that I was getting on my video titled, "The Zodiac is Not What You Think." If you're interested, you can click the top right corner of the screen to watch that, but in this video we're going to talk a little bit more about what the Zodiac truly represents. I feel like there are so many misconceptions about this, and understandably so. This is something that isn't talked about very much, and I want to preface this by saying that the Zodiac is something that is used in ancient traditions, secret societies, and ceremonial magic. This is the side of astrology that could also be called astrotheology or astrotheurgy, and this is the area that I'm interested in. There's another side of astrology that is much more exoteric, and this is the popularized interpretation of the Zodiac, which deals with the horoscopes and the birth charts. There's a huge difference between the exoteric and the esoteric aspects of astrology. When we're talking about exoteric astrology, we're talking about something that is much more surface level, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, I'm just stating the differences between the two. Birth charts can help understand and explain your personality, gifts, and challenges, but this can only help you to a point. When we view the Zodiac in a more exoteric lens, we assume that this may mean that the stars govern our reality and that there isn't much we can really do about it. If you're extremely into astrology, you may wait to do certain things for certain dates, avoid doing things on certain dates, and perhaps design your life around your natal chart or around what the planets and the stars are doing at this time. Not that I think it's a bad idea to do something on a certain date to harness the energy of a planet, sign, or house, but I think that focusing so hard on the placements can give your power away. I'm much more interested in developing personal power and using the ability to create change in the physical reality, regardless of what the stars say. Let's talk more about the esoteric side of all of this. It's important to sink in the concept that we're all made in the image of our Creator. Whatever you imagine your Creator to be, there is a famous axiom within occultism that states, "As above, so below." Whatever happens within your internal world is reflected in the outer world. The structure of our consciousness is reflecting the structure of the universal or God's consciousness. The sun represents consciousness. The moon represents subconsciousness. The earth represents the 3D physical reality. Think about it. The sun gives life to the earth. Your consciousness gives life to your body. The moon does not create light of its own, it only reflects the sun's light to earth. Your subconscious does not communicate with words. It does not produce light of its own. It only reflects the light of your own conscious mind. Together, the masculine sun, consciousness, and the feminine moon, subconsciousness, creates your earth, physical reality. All of the planets just represent different aspects of the sun. Like the moon, they do not produce light of their own. They only reflect the sun's light, as above, so below. You contain all of these planetary energies within your consciousness. Mercury is your intellect and communication. Venus is your passion and love. Mars is your energy, drive, and ambition. Jupiter is your success and expansion. Saturn is your karma, lessons, and discipline. I'm leaving the rest of the planets out because we're going to talk specifically about ceremonial magic, which involves the 7 planets to the ancients: the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. I want to make it very clear that these planets are just aspects of your consciousness. They are energies that are a part of you. You can gain control of them. As above, so below. As within, so without. Once you gain control of these energies, then that control is externalized in the macrocosm. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we understand that the sun represents our consciousness. The zodiac is a wheel of stars that the sun appears to move throughout the year. From Earth, if the sun appears to be in front of the sign of Leo, then the sun is in Leo. If the sun appears to be in front of Virgo, then the sun is in Virgo. However, many people have pointed out that this is not exact. Traditionally, we look at signs as lasting for 1 month. I want to make this very clear that the sun appears to move through some signs quicker than others. Some constellations are bigger and some are smaller. And because of the precession of the equinox, our sun signs are a bit off compared to what exoteric tropical astrology teaches. I also want to make it very clear that it doesn't really matter. The truth about the concept of the zodiac is that these things don't really matter. We need to understand that this is about consciousness moving through cycles and embodying different aspects. The zodiac is an allegory for consciousness. If we focus too much on the details of when the sun is where and how long the sun is here, then we're completely missing the point of what this allegory represents. The zodiac is a 360-degree ecliptic. It's a circle. A circle represents spirit. It represents consciousness and a cycle. The sun, which also represents consciousness, appears to move around this ecliptic throughout the year. This 360-degree consciousness that we call the zodiacal ecliptic is divided into 12 parts. We have 4 seasons, and this makes it so that we have 3 signs or 3 months of each season. Just like the 4 seasons, we have 4 elements. We'll talk about why we don't talk about 13 zodiac signs or more zodiac signs in a moment. But really, take a minute and observe this. This is about taking consciousness, dividing it into its parts, into its aspects, and organizing it. This is not about being controlled by the stars or using astrology as a religion to replace another religion. The sun moves through these aspects, and simultaneously the earth is having its cycles of the seasons. So when you work through these signs within ceremonial magic, you are acting as the sun, aka consciousness, moving through its aspects, and your physical body or your physical reality responds accordingly. This is about you understanding the cycles of your consciousness, working with different aspects of it, and using it to gain more control over your reality instead of being swept away by the cycles of life. I noticed many comments from the Zodiac is Not What You Think video saying, "What about the Southern Hemisphere?" I talked about the cycle that consciousness goes through based off of the seasons and the signs that the sun embodies throughout each season. I understand that it doesn't make sense when you live in the Southern Hemisphere. People were also asking how can they connect with the Zodiac this way when it's the opposite where they live. Here's the thing. The concept of the Zodiac originated in the Northern Hemisphere, and most of the population on Earth lives in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's definitely not to say that the Southern Hemisphere doesn't matter. It's really to say that the physicalities of all of this doesn't matter. This is an allegory for your consciousness. It doesn't really matter where the sun is. Because if it's mid-November and you think that the sun is in Scorpio, it's probably really not. These are philosophical, psychological, and spiritual concepts that can be used to powerfully change your life if you know how to use them. It doesn't matter if you live in the Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere, or if you're Santa Claus living at the North Pole. If you want to bring balance to the conscious and the subconscious, if you want to bring harmony and love, then you can work with Libra energy. It doesn't have to be September through October. It doesn't have to be autumn or spring if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. It doesn't have to be hot or cold. If working with these different aspects of consciousness are interesting to you, then I highly suggest looking more into ceremonial magic. I also understand that these concepts about the zodiac aren't really talked about that much because working with the zodiacal energies is something that you do much later on in the path of magic, and many people don't get that far or learn that information, so it makes sense that this concept is foreign to most people. I notice a lot of people get hung up on the fact that there are 13 zodiac signs or that there are more zodiac signs than just 12. 12 is a number that we see a lot. 12 disciples, 12 months in the year, 12 hours on a clock, 12 steps program, 12 inches in a foot, 12 gods and goddesses of Olympus, 12 days of Christmas, 12 items make a dozen, there are 12 grades in school. These are the 12 steps of consciousness through a process. This is why the zodiacal ecliptic is divided into 12. This isn't just about constellations. Constellations are just stars in the sky that ancient people would play connect the dot with into what they felt like they saw. The real truth is that 12 is a number that can be divided in half. It can be divided into quarters. It can be divided into 3. Each of these 12 zodiac signs can be divided even further into more specific aspects of consciousness. Let's talk more about how this relates to the path of ceremonial magic. The first step in ceremonial magic is balancing the four elements, and the four elements represent the four aspects of your personal consciousness. Air is your mental aspects, water is your emotional aspects, fire is your spiritual aspects, and earth is your physical aspects. This is truly about working to transcend base consciousness or terrestrial consciousness. Living day to day, not developing much, letting outside factors govern your life. Once we transcend these four elements, we have changed the self and made a stronger vessel to hold higher states of consciousness. We then move from working on terrestrial consciousness into working on solar consciousness. This would be represented by the planetary energies. Remember, I was saying that all the planets are just aspects of the sun. These are energies that are a bit more macrocosmic in the way that it's about how our consciousness interacts and relates to the outside world. This will change our external reality. We move from working on solar consciousness to working on stellar consciousness. This is represented by the Zodiac. This is about the potent, powerful, governing, and high aspects of our consciousness. Our job is to separate, purify, and strengthen them, and then reintegrate them. This is what we do with the elements, the planets, and then the Zodiac. You might also notice that the elements, a lot like the zodiacal ecliptic, are divided into four parts. You may also notice that each zodiac sign is represented by one of the four elements. The zodiac could be viewed as the energies that govern the terrestrial consciousness, which is also what makes them so powerful. This is why the symbolism is used absolutely everywhere, especially when it comes to measuring units of time. If we have this 360-degree ecliptic, then each of the 12 signs is meant to represent 30 degrees of this ecliptic. Each zodiac sign is further divided into 3 decans. Each decan represents 10 degrees of the zodiac, and there are 36 of them that make up the 360-degree ecliptic. Now, each of these decans is even further divided into 2. This will be the 72 angels of the Shem. Each angel represents 5 degrees, and you may notice that the numbers 72, 36, 12, 4, and 3 are very symbolic when it comes to religions, secret societies, and the occult. These divisions are the reason that we use 12 zodiac signs and not 13, not 14, not 20, not 25. This is the real secret here, is that this is all about yourself, how you work, and your ability to change reality. Understanding the system of the 12 zodiac signs will also reveal some of the things about these crosses of the zodiac. You should check out my other video on the crosses of the zodiac, and you can click the top right corner of the screen to watch that if you'd like. When you highlight the sign that is in the middle of the season on the zodiacal ecliptic, you end up with the fixed cross. This is heavily symbolic. You will notice these 4 fixed signs on the Wheel of Fortune in tarot, within the World card. You will also find this a lot in Christian art. This is the true meaning of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Also, the 4 archangels of the 4 elements, the 4 seasons. These fixed signs are important because they represent the fullness of the season that they are in. This is obviously something that was extremely important to secret societies and the occult for a very long time. This is another reason why we use 12 and not any other number, and also why we view the zodiacal ecliptic in the divisions of 30 degrees instead of the actual physical locations of the constellations at the time that the sun is actually in front of them. This is a system that was developed a very long time ago and was a way to organize consciousness. This was a part of the path of initiation into a new integration of self. When we view astrology from a more exoteric lens, we set ourselves up to give our power away. Learning about how this is you and you are it is very empowering. The stars are like chains that keep us in terrestrial consciousness. We are bound to our external reality. Learning the truth and working with it is the key to break the chains that bind you to the stars. I touched on the Wheel of Fortune card and the World card in this video, and if you're interested in learning more about tarot, I'm accepting enrollments at this time for this tarot course that I created. Classes start on July 16th, and we'll go over the symbolism, how to read the cards, and also the relationships of these cards with the Kabbalistic tree of life, which is something that most courses in tarot won't offer. Make sure to check out the link in the description if you're interested. I do offer one-on-one coaching for beginning ceremonial magic. We discuss the rituals regarding the 4 elements and connecting with higher states of consciousness. If you're just starting out your journey in magic, feel free to set up a session with me. Check out the link in the description below for more information, as well as to where you can book a tarot reading with me. If you want access to exclusive content and live streams, the link to my Patreon is also in the description. And I hope there was something new that you were able to take away from this video. If so, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.